All right, hi everybody. Hello, hello. Welcome to the third in the series, right, of our Souls on Bodies. We're going to start in a moment, but I also know that we have a lot going on for our bodies today because we have a chili cook-off later on in the day. So something good for body, mind, and soul today. We've really fed ourselves in every possible way. Today it's going to be a 2-for-1. You're going to get both yoga and Tai Chi. Hey, Sarah, good to see you. Speaking of which, Sarah is one of our amazing yoga teachers here at St. Columba, so if you haven't taken Sarah's class yet, I highly recommend it. She's getting rave reviews. I am being joined by the wonderful Lynn Kennedy, who is going to be doing the Tai Chi portion. But first, as with ever, let's start with prayer. The Lord be with you.
Also with you.
Let us pray. Be gracious to your people, we entreat you, O God, that they may know that you are the Lord of love. May they know that they are supported by your grace in this life, and may they come to the full enjoyment of eternal life in your everlasting kingdom. Through Jesus Christ our Lord, who lives and reigns with you in the Holy Spirit, one God forever and ever. Amen.
Amen.
So one of the things that has really enriched my life is learning how to pray with my full body, which happened to me by accident one day when I went to a free belly dancing class. there was a new holistic wellness center that opened up in my town, and they were offering free demonstrations. So I went to a belly dancing class and won a free yoga class the next day, which I never belly danced again, but I did take them up on a free yoga class. It was not like any other yoga I had ever done before. I had done yoga before. It had been very lovely, very slow, very calming. But this was a style of yoga called Ashtanga yoga, which, if anybody's familiar with it, is it's a sweaty exercise where you're sometimes asked to put your leg behind your head if you can do that sort of thing. And they have a series of headstands that I can only ever imagine. It's the sort of stuff where you see people putting themselves in pretzel sort of poses, which was not, nor ever will be, my skill in yoga. But I went to the class thinking, well, this will be nice, calm. No, I was by the opening sun salutation just sweating, and thinking, why is this so hard? In Ashtanga, they only give you a certain number of poses as you're learning, up to your level that they think that you can qualify for. I was abashed by how few postures I received that first class, but was also delighted when I finally hit Shavasana, which is called corpse pose, because you're laying there as though you've died. And by the end of that first session, I had kind of felt that way. It was well named. But I was not just delighted to end. It felt as though I could really meditate easily for the first time. I had no idea why. I'm like, what is this yoga thing? And what I really found out after that, once I started getting into the weeds with it, is that yoga is an ancient practice that is like a prayer tool. It's not a religion in and of itself, but it is a way to deepen one's personal religion, because it is asking you to tax the body in a way that strengthens it, flexes it, sometimes puts it in uncomfortable postures on purpose, so that you can practice the body-mind connection on your mat where it's safe, and then you can do it later in the world. There are hundreds of yoga postures called asana. Each one of them was meant, first and foremost, to help you learn how to sit in meditation. So it doesn't matter if you can put your leg behind your head or if you can just sit comfortably, you can do yoga. The word itself means yoke between breath and body and spirit. So it's not about the fancy posture. It's about learning how to incorporate all of the parts of your life into one being. What I also found was that the postures, as they increased in difficulty, helped me be in tune with parts of myself that maybe I don't always like to be in tune with, but it gave me a chance to practice it. I'll give you an example. Back bends. If you've ever tried to do a back bend in yoga, they can be terrifying. And they're supposed to be, in fact. You're supposed to ease your way into a back bend because apparently humans, like any animal, do not like to expose their neck and chest. So there's a part of your nervous system when you're in some of these poses that is intentionally supposed to be provoked a little bit so that you can learn how to breathe in a difficult situation, so that you can hear the voices that come up in your head that say, you can't do this, don't, twist out of this thing, right? In that way, when you leave the mat, you've practiced it so that when you find yourself in a hard situation, you can still breathe. You can still have a calmness of spirit. So this was all what I found just after one class. After that, I started studying in earnest and eventually became a yoga teacher. I wrote a book called Faith with a Twist with my dear friend and yoga teacher, Amy Dolan, all about how so much of the yogic philosophy and Christian philosophy and wisdom go hand in hand, and how they can be a wonderful partnership in deepening spirituality. Ashtanga itself is a word that means 8 limbs. And the 8 limbs of yoga will sound really familiar to us as Christians. The first are what are known as the yamas and niyamas. You might call these the 10 Commandments of yoga. You shouldn't, but you could. Now, they are things like nonviolence, truthfulness, non-stealing, the right use of energy or moderation, and non-attachment or greediness. These are important values, no matter what you're doing. And then you also have in the niyamas the kind of personal observances. The yamas are the ethical, social pieces. The niyamas are for your internal life, internal discipline. These are things like purity, contentment, discipline, passion, self-study, and surrender to a higher power. Each time you get into a physical pose, that's only one little bit of a yoga practice. There's also breath attached to it. And each time you're doing a pose, you're supposed to be practicing each one of those 8, yamas or niyamas. So for example, if you're in a posture, you have to practice nonviolence. And that's not just making sure you're not pushing the posture too much and hurting your body. It's also being nonviolent in your self-talk, right? Saying, maybe I can't do this posture today, but it's still teaching me something, right? Instead of beating yourself up. The truthfulness is saying to yourself, okay, I could push a little harder here if I'm being truthful, but also then actually doing the action on your mat. And each one of these invites this understanding of where God is in the conversation. Because as we do this self-study, it becomes a way of listening for God. That's especially true in another one of the 8 limbs, which is called pranayama. Pranayama is breath control. The yama itself is thought to be the life force. So every time you breathe, you are thinking, just as though the Bible describes the breath of God, you're trying to think about taking the Spirit in and exhaling peace and goodness into the world. As I said, just like we imagine the Holy Spirit moving over the water of creation, each breath is considered to be its own creation in yoga. So we think all this is, what we see on the mat is just the postures, but all of this is going on inside. I thought what we could do today to practice some of this ourselves is a little breathing exercise, since yoga, so much of the attention, as I just said, gets put on the postures, the asana, but the breath is just as important. Every single posture you learn in Ashtanga yoga also has to be breathed all the way through. It's not just the posture in its state. It's inhale how you get into the posture, exhale how you hold the posture, inhale as you move again. The whole thing is moving meditation focused on the breath as the life force itself. So you really can't just muscle your way through, you shouldn't, muscle your way through these postures without breathing. As Amy was teaching me, she goes, Hillary, if you do not inhale during these postures, you will die. It was a spiritual lesson off the mat as well, right? If we aren't taking the Sabbath time to really inhale God's Spirit, we're not able to do that. Like we find ourselves shallow of breath in our own lives, right? Without the Spirit of God. So let's practice a little breathing exercise here. If you all go ahead and just kind of close your eyes for a moment, if that feels comfortable to you. If you'd like to keep your eyes open, that's fine. Maybe just soften your gaze. I'm going to do an exercise known both to yogis and many other people in the world called breathing the square. But it's based on yogic breathing to help calm the nervous system. Sharpshooters even use this as a way to try to calm down in a stressful situation. So as you consider the breath, take a strong posture even as you're seated, if it feels right, to lift the spine, thinking about a straight channel. And the yogic idea of breath is to unite the body and spirit. So take an inhale on a count of 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold. 2, 3, 4. Exhale. 2, 3, 4. Hold. 2, 3, 4. Inhale. 2, 3, 4. Hold. 2, 3, 4. Exhale. 2, 3, 4. Hold. 2, 3, 4. Again, inhale. 2, 3, 4. Hold. 2, 3, 4. Exhale. Hold. 2 more. Inhale. Hold. Exhale. Hold. Just pause there. Feel the quality of your mind. Let your breathing return to normal. See if even just a few breaths has made a difference. And open your eyes. What did anybody feel? Anybody feel a little different even just after a few breaths? Yeah, I hope so. The last thing I'll say before I turn it over to Lynn is to really just to say about yoga. The way it has helped me grow as a Christian in particular is realizing how much of Jesus' own prayer practice is very physical in nature. I'm currently reading through the Gospel of Luke with an eye just to see how Jesus prays. And he is almost always praying in such a way that puts his body in a purposely stressed position, like a fast, or he goes out into nature to pray. I imagine breathing deeply while he's out there. Often he's in the sort of Sabbath rest where he's taking himself out of a hard situation, or he's praying with sign actions, with his whole body, with exorcism, spiritual healing, crucifixion, of course, as a sign act, right? Like putting his body out there. And because of that, his body becomes one of the vehicles for prayer. For me, that's one of the things I've found in the yogic practice for myself, is that it helps make me a better Christian because I'm not just simply praying with my mind or my soul. All things are great. But we're Episcopalian. We like to get up. We like to get down, right? Like these are parts, we are an embodied sort of praying. This is the way that can actually take us even a little bit further by making sure our body is as involved with our prayer practice. So I think it's helped me actually follow Jesus' example by putting my whole body into it, so to speak, to getting some sweat equity with the Spirit out there, and spending time on my mat and deeply in moving prayer so that when I'm off my mat, that can flow through me as well. So we'll have time for question at the end, but at this point, I'd love to turn it over.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I think we can.
Thank you very much, Hillary. Very nice presentation. It's always interesting. You go second and you have to adapt, respond to. So I'm glad Hillary explained Tai Chi to you, and because she did. I'm also glad, what a wonderful service, the last anthem, anybody remember that? Take my life and let it be. That too is Tai Chi. Tai Chi is about the universe, the world, about life and living. And it's not a religion, although if it were a religion, this would be the Tai Chi Bible. It's been written over about almost 1,000 years of experiences in China, but a fundamental aspect of Taiji actually comes from India and Buddhism, where there were some breakthroughs in understanding who we are as beings. And that knowledge traveled from India on to Asia, and in various forms were adopted in Japan, China, other countries. Many of you have heard of Zen, great short book, Zen and the Art of Archery. That was a Japanese take on, on meditation and the like. And the goal was how to take the calming, nurturing aspects of movement and being a human being and bring them to bear in ordinary life. And China has its own versions, and there was a long history also in China of Taoism and Confucianism, and they have other cultural systems. But basically this book describes, it's 50 principles. Now, how can you do something with 50 principles? Very difficult. So my teacher's teacher, who was a famous Taiji person in mainland China, he studied with Yang Zheng Fu, which is the largest style of Taiji in the world. And he went to him because he was sick. He was also a poet, a doctor of Chinese medicine, a professor in school, and he had done famous painter as well. But he was sick. He had had tuberculosis when he was younger and never really fully recovered. He became ill again, and so he had an introduction to Yang Zheng Fu. You couldn't show up to study Taiji back then. In fact, you couldn't study before they investigated several generations of your family to see if there was a crook or a bad person in the system. We don't quite do that anymore, but it's an interesting experience. And another thing about Taiji and actually martial arts in Japan, so my teacher, Robert W. Smith, who was an American, who was a Marine, saw Guadalcanal and some other places like that, stationed in Japan after the war. And he had been a boxer and a wrestler and became a judo person. So he went and he studied. They didn't check him out, several generations, although had they would have learned that he was an orphan during the Depression. His parents had to send his siblings, kept the daughters and sent the boys, to the orphanage. But anyway, he grew out of that, and he came in contact with fighting arts. So he was, very athletic movement. And one thing typically leads to another, particularly if you're trying to understand yourself and the world. So you find seekers in Taiji in a certain way. And a lot of the seeking is about receiving, not presuming to know, but being open to experience. And almost everyone I've met along the Taiji path and journey has been that way, and it's been true with me as well. But basically we have 5 principles to make it easy as opposed to the 50. And they are to relax and sink, separate the weight, keep the body upright, turn the waist, don't twist it, and keep a beautiful fair lady's wrist. And what all of this is about is to help one figure out how to calm down and be quiet in movement, which is really another way of saying finding the stillness in the movement. The brain can be sort of active, that stream of consciousness. So if you have the stream of consciousness going, oh, I just had a thought, then you can't keep the movement going. So we're just looking, experiencing, feeling what you're feeling, relaxing and sinking. These are the first 3 or 4 postures that we have. And so there are 37 of these that, we repeat on. And usually we're not talking, we're just being in the moment, trying to be in the moment. And before we learn, and actually, so if you look on Taiji on the web, you'll see all kinds of people doing all kinds of forms. There are many forms. But the basic form is to be quiet in your body. So this is, before you learn Taiji, you just learn how to stand, just how to really stand. So when my teacher's teacher went to his teacher, he said, I'm going to teach you Tai Chi to heal you. But he said, I can't do Tai Chi. He said, because I can't do movement. My lungs are no good. So he came to his teacher's house, and he just made him stand, asked him to stand. But in those days, if they asked you to stand, you had to stand. You couldn't opt out. So he came to his house, and his teacher would watch him and say, no, you don't wiggle, don't do anything like that. And slowly, very, very slowly, relax your body. Relax your breathing, because the more you relax, not just your mind, but your mind and all the other parts of the body, it's a system. I call it, we have a human operating system, HOS. We have to tune the HOS if we want to feel better, be better, open to receive. And then I found, I told this to Hillary this week, I always think, walk in love. What's the best way to walk in love? Relaxed, in a park, in nature. That's who we are. It's where we came from. What we want to connect as one with. And so, people go through it and have their experiences. I had some fairly profound ones, I'd say, and actually, it seemed so much like being in church in a way. Sort of something familiar came from another direction. Hillary talked about rhythm and movement, and I'm a movement person. I realize now I was incredibly lucky to be born in Brooklyn, not close to the subway or the bus, because you walk and you run, and then your mind develops certain attributes. You notice things. That's what I think we humans have to have more of, actually noticing what we're feeling, what we're thinking, what we're believing, what we're called to do. Is that really right? Is that really right? And when we have that conversation with ourselves, then we find the deep things. Like thinking about what I was going to say today. I remember my mom, now I lay me down to sleep. The little things. I haven't thought about that in a long time, but being here today made me think about it, and other things like that. I believe in the power of the ineffable. The power of the ineffable. Let go, let God, we used to say in church back home. And, listen to that voice. Tai Chi is a way of doing that, and different people, and actually it's, quote, a martial art, but it's not fighting like people think about fighting. It's not what you see on TV or anything like that. Actually, what you learn is you have an ethical obligation not to hurt people. Tai Chi is a healing art, but if you have to protect someone, you ought to be able to do it in a way that doesn't hurt them more than is required in the circumstances. I said my teacher was, Guadalcanal and other things. But so he had this experience after the war. He's in Japan. He's at a Roman Catholic service, 2,000 people there, all Japanese except him. Someone runs up, starts to Japanese person, desecrate the altar. Who gets up, walks up, the one Caucasian in the audience. He puts a judo hold on the guy and walks him out, and everyone else is still in the pews, But he felt called to do it because a terrible act was happening. So I feel like I'm wandering a little bit, and maybe we can sit down and talk. But maybe let's do one thing. Now, if you don't mind, we don't have to stand up. If we're seated, and then I'll just describe it. This is a little exercise, but don't think of it as exercise. Think of it as a quiet time, as they say in school. So just sit, don't have your back on the back of the chair, so just sit a little bit towards the front, and you want to feel your feet somewhat separated. You can put your right hand on your right knee, palm down, your left hand on your left knee, palm up. So the first thing we want to do is just ask ourselves to just relax. Relax the entire body, inside and out, and feel the bottoms of the feet adhering to the floor. The top of the head reaching towards the heavens. Feel your feet. Relax your body. Relax your breathing. Just ask your body to relax If a thought comes, let it go. Relax the abdominal muscles, your shoulders, and your lower back. Relaxing, relaxing, relaxing. Some people prefer to do it from the top of the head to the shoulders, to the arms, to the chest, the back, the abdominal muscles, the legs. You can do it any way that works for you. Eyes sort of half closed, looking inside, not outside. Relaxing, releasing, letting go. Okay, you can open your eyes, turn over your left palm, come back to the room, and we're all here together. Good. All right, so that's a little Tai Chi thing. So it's very useful on the planes. You know, actually, one last thing. So I discovered a lot of things about Tai Chi. In a way, you know, I had some issues flying, and I had a job where I had to fly a lot. And at some point, something about Tai Chi just came. Oh, just do like you do in those terrible meetings at work. Just relax, feel your feet, and you know, that flying thing went away. So you might try. Okay, that's it.
Well, I think we have some time for questions. Let me see if my mic's on. Thank you, Lynn. That was wonderful. And by the way, we have an article that features Lynn in it as well, so we're going to pass those out. It's really great. I read it cover to cover and was like, oof, this will be an excellent thing for Sunday. What are some of the questions you all might have? And we have enough time that if there are few enough questions, maybe I'll do another little like seated posture piece. We'll find out. But what are some questions? Hal, let's see. Can we bring the mic over to Hal? Great. I'll bring it there. Oh, Hal, did you have a question, or did you just want the handout?
Just getting it.
Okay. Here we go. Yeah.
Glenn,
Yes.
I would like to know how Tai Chi would help the heart.
How?
The heart.
Okay. Very good question. Tai Chi is a health exercise. A big part of what we want to do is get the body to relax, and actually stress is one of the major challenges we all have in the busy, intense world. So from that, I would call meditative aspect, I think it's pretty good. But the other thing Tai Chi wants us to do is have a strong body and good posture, because the better and more aligned the posture it is, the more we can come to being relaxed. So it's not just saying you're relaxed, it's being relaxed. So then all your components in the body slowly start to work better, and with practice. Now we do have our movements, but I had two Tai Chi teachers. My second one, he too was sick when he went to his teacher, who was cured. And same thing, he couldn't walk up a flight of stairs without having to sit down for an hour. And his teacher said, well, I'm going to teach you Tai Chi. Same story, I can't do Tai Chi, I can barely walk upstairs. What do you mean? But he taught him, how to stand. And in his house, he had to go to his teacher's house 6 days a week, and for an hour, his teacher would be doing calligraphy and all this stuff, and you just stand there like this. Now, it doesn't look like anything, but in a way, you're learning how to have your body in the most balanced and ultimately calming position you can be in. And then his teacher built up, that process, and slowly you do other things, other postures. So here now I'm getting my arms involved. But actually the biggest thing about Tai Chi is to use our legs. And in China they have a saying in Tai Chi, we want one leg to be as strong as two. What does that mean? So in a way, that's saying when you do it correctly, you're doing like weightlifting with your body weight. And you're using, you're bending your ankles, knees, and hip joints. So if we had health issues, a teacher would say, this is what you can do now, do this for this period of time. I almost don't want to mention it because there's something called Tai Chi walking on the internet, which is not really Tai Chi walking. I'm not even sure it's walking, but I know it's not Tai Chi. So, but it's like everything. finding a good teacher who can work with it. You know, we teach at Glen Echo Park. There's a lot of Taiji, good Taiji in the Washington, D.C. area. I may well be starting a course at Little Falls Village in a couple of weeks, announce that. And so there's a lot to be seen and to do. It's also important, you know, if you have medical issues, to visit with your doctor about what's the appropriate way and to make sure the person you're studying with can really help with that. But I've had students who started out not really able to do Taiji, and, you know, we work with them and build up gradually. That's what the body responds to. Gradual, careful work, you know, focused on the person and being.
Len, do you do any courses by Zoom?
Little Falls, I'm going to have a Zoom talking about Taiji, meditation, and some other things. We're scheduling it this week, and I can make that. There's also, I don't know if you made copies of the pamphlet. Oh.
I think it's on the back of it.
Okay, good. Yeah, so at the back of that article, there's some information, and if you could email, you know, we'd be happy to send it around.
The back of this
Yes.
pamphlet? Okay.
And we teach at, you know, Glen Echo Park, been teaching there for almost 40 years, 35 years, something like that.
Do you have any
I was a baby when I started. I like to say that.
Do you have any rank beginners who aren't babies?
We have beginners all the time.
Do you?
In fact, everyone's a beginner. As my teachers used to say, you're only good until you meet the person more relaxed than you.
Thanks.
Which means we can always grow and develop.
This is for Hillary. I've heard about this, and you said you were sweating just going to a beginning yoga class. What's hot yoga?
Great question. So hot yoga is when you are going to a studio that has very specific heaters, often are can heat the room up to almost 100 degrees, sometimes over 100, depending. Susan's like, heck no. The idea is that the more you sweat, the more toxins your body might release, and also you're a little bit more flexible once you're that much warmer. I've done lots of hot yoga. I will say this. You can also stretch way too much because you're too hot, right? And you can also get dehydrated really quickly. I think, Len, you were just saying this so beautifully. The idea, the best way to heal the body, mind, and soul is not by trying to quick fix anything, right? But to gradually let the spirit move within your body and to let the body be healed with a longer process. That lasts longer, too. It's not just that it will heal, I think, stronger. I wonder about your opinion, too. I think the slower the healing, often the stronger you can be on the other end of it. But it does, I think, also last longer. So hot yoga, it's kind of a taster's choice. Some people love it. It should come, though, with a real kind of warning on it. So if you walk into a classroom and your teacher doesn't prep you for it, that'd be a red flag for me. Yeah, right. You gotta know what you're going into, and your teacher has to really keep their eyes on you and tell you what you're in for. Yeah.
I would endorse that wholeheartedly. So what Taiji and yoga are doing is helping you access your internal energy and increasing your capacity to use it well. My second year, I used to be a runner in the old days, 35 miles a week, and I started doing Taiji, and then I had some knee issues. So I go to the surgeon. Well, we can fix that with surgery. My Taiji teacher said, forget about surgery. There was a part of the Taiji form I couldn't do. He just said, only do it in class. Don't practice it at home. You know, it's 43 years since then. My knee's fine. I can do it now. He said, take good soup, oxbone soup, and a kind of personal massage. It's a health system. So there are many things like that they have that can help us. But to the Western mind, I have to confess, I don't know about. I mean, I've had some experiences like that, but there's a lot we don't know. So although I think native peoples knew a lot. If you're close to nature, you know things. Farmers know things. They use their bodies. This is our biggest problem. We're not using our bodies. It increases illness in society. It makes people unhappy. But if you can meditate, you can change that cycle because you'll access your own operating system. We have all the elements we need to improve and optimize, but not optimize like scientists think, like people who know the body, who know the heart, who know the spirit, who love, give and receive.
I think that's really true. I'm going to add just another personal story. That was really beautifully put. For me, not everybody might guess this, but I've actually lived with chronic pain for most of my life because I have an extra vertebra in my spine, which is a weird thing to have. You might think that might make you more flexible, but in fact, it actually locks you up, especially in forward bends. And so often my hips are always wrong. My feet were often wrong. Like I had to go to all kinds of specialists all through growing up. Yoga was the only thing that helped, honestly, in the long run, because there was something about helping the body find a stability through dynamic stretching, movement, muscle work, breath, prayer, meditation, that helped to get the spine to do something it wouldn't do otherwise. I'm not saying there aren't still issues. What I'm saying is that I don't feel anymore as though I have to go to specialist after specialist after specialist. And that wasn't just a physical healing. That was really an emotional healing too, because anybody who's ever lived with chronic pain, you know it's taking up a lot of real estate in your mind without you even knowing about it. So as it begins to release, there's a journey that your soul goes on during healing. You know, healing is not just all the time positive. You have to relearn who you are as you're letting go of some things. So it's a very good system for all of that. So you put that
if I might add something to
Please.
that, thanks for that contribution. So I like to say Tai Chi is a skill, an art, and a way. Okay? It's like the same way we talk about, where there are experiences of others that have been shared with us. So the skill part is what should I be doing, which of course means I've got to undo a lot of bad habits that I adopted, or if you have weaknesses, how to address them. And among other things, having the courage to face that, to accept it. Okay, it's not the way I'd like it to be, but don't give up. You know, find the way. And the skill helps. It helps you adjust your body. And our teachers would say, if you can't do it, that's okay. Just do your best. Then tomorrow, do your best. The next day, do your best. That means don't give up. Don't give up. Practice. Practice changes. It can change any bad habit you have if you practice, and it can help you build new ones. And then when you practice, you'll have new experiences. You'll see and perceive new things, and they will speak to your heart, and then you'll take those on. And the bad things kind of fall away. You just, okay, keep walking the right path.
That's really true. They say in yoga, and there's a lot of theory, but they say it's only 1% theory, 99% practice.
Oh, that's very good.
So, other questions, thoughts? Yes, please, Hal. Let me grab the thing for you here. Sure. There you go.
For runners and other athletes and in the medical profession, there's a whole branch concerned with stretching. Mm-hmm. And I've often thought that the basic principles of Tai Chi and yoga have to do with some of the same kinds of things. Deep breathing is very connected with the whole relaxation, and a lot of stretching exercises are relaxation exercises. Are you aware of any more formal work that's been done on sort of how those three are interconnected in that way?
There's a lot of work on that now, and actually there's a Harvard book, which is actually pretty good, on Tai Chi by a Tai Chi person. He's done Tai Chi about as long as I have, 45 years. So in a way, okay, so if I were starting to learn Tai Chi today, let's say, since I'm 74, my body would probably be not so good, as good as it is now.
Well, let's say from the perspective of somebody that has been more familiar with things like stretching exercises
So-
for athletes.
Yeah,
You
so,
started Tai Chi from that standpoint.
well, actually, in a way, like I said, when I started, I was running 35 miles a week. At college, I was a fencer.
Okay,
So,
yeah.
This is an interesting point. So, if you're in an athletic system or mode, of course, you have the training that's good for your sport or activity. That's what you learn, that's what you can do, and improve, and maybe even perfect. What I found in life, when the career happened, I didn't have the fencing codes, all of that infrastructure, but I still ran. Now, interestingly, I went to Cornell, and we have a Clara Barton Hall, just like Clara Barton in Glen Echo Park. So it was, and in the fall, that part of town looks exactly like Ithaca did when we were out doing our winter training. So you find interesting memories, and there's resonance about what you do. But if someone were starting today and they're saying they're 50, we wouldn't start directly going on things that look like stretching, but actually, there's this exercise, this is called the bear exercise. My teacher's teacher invented it. So, and I once went to my teacher's house for a private lesson where we did this, that means me, for an hour without stopping. And he said when his teacher taught him that, he said, do it at least 50 times, and you're really trying to loosen your body, your joints, all of these things, relax your breathing. And he says, and then the next day, never do less than 50, and the next day do more. So if you follow that process slowly, certain things get looser. If you do enough things and enough to, shoulder jointed sometimes. I still do PT twice a week, for personal training, because the body needs it. You could do Tai Chi in a certain way to get your whole body, but you'd be investing a lot of time. And we know we can't let our bones get, osteopenia or all those things. So standing on your legs and working your legs is good. Walking is good. Walking is great. I'm a big, big fan of walking. Most of the time when I'm walking, I'm doing Tai Chi. I'm in nature. I'm in the world. I should have put it on the back of the brochure, but there is a 13-minute Alan Watts YouTube called Man, Buddhism, and Nature. And you'll see it, you can get it on YouTube. Man, Buddhism, and Nature. The music, the birds, the water, the painting, the flowing. These are all impinging on our systems. That's why we love music, rhythm, pattern. It helps us. I'm surrounded by artists. My mother-in-law is an artist and taught it, art history. My wife's an artist, does Tai Chi and all this, and I've got 2 daughters who can do art too. So, I didn't quite get all that art stuff, but you walk. So we used to go to Colorado, and my mother-in-law would say, oh, look at this particular plant, its color, relationship to that plant, and the sun coming through these particular trees. She could see things with, it was amazing. It was amazing. I learned so much. But it's not school learning, it's life learning, lived experiences, whether we play or otherwise, how we interact. Yeah, everything beautiful outside is inside. We just have to discover it.
But I'll take another, maybe another angle at that really good question, Hal. I think some of what you're asking, correct me if I'm wrong, is also, if the body has gone through something, positive in this case, right, training and stretching, or negative, does the body retain it, right? And what we know from good scholarship is that, there's even the name of a book, that the body keeps the score, right? In other words, your body does have a memory to it. It remembers traumas, and physically, but also emotionally. It can retain not just your hardships, but it can we also have evidence that your ancestors can also pass down things like PTSD, certain tension stressors, etc. But also, the body can keep the score for healing as well. As we continue to move through something like yoga or Tai Chi, it's not just the physicality, right, how that you're talking about, it's also the emotional healing that we can feel at the same time that will resonate within the body too. And notice again, for both of these modalities, it's not about what kind of athlete you can become from it, right? We want you to be healthy and whole, but it's also, you can do this without moving at all. Some of it is the breath work, some of it is the energetic work, right? Because it's not just about making your body a physical specimen. It's about trying to become somebody who's integrated, body, mind, and soul. Yeah.
That's a huge point. We didn't work this all out in advance, but but the thing about integration, so we have all these capabilities. Okay, I can't resist. Read Anna Karenina. Or if you don't want to read the book, it's so long, go to the internet and find an article about the mowing scene in Anna Karenina, which is one of the most extraordinary things ever written. It's pure Zen, I think, pure Tai Chi, quite extraordinary. And Tolstoy wasn't too shabby either, so.
Thank you. I think we have time for one more question if you want to come to the mic, and then we'll close. Let me just check on the time.
I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about Tai Chi and neurodegenerative disease.
I'm not an expert in that field, so I can't give medical advice. Can you tell me a little bit more about what you'd like to know?
If it would be beneficial for, I'm assuming for balance and breath, it would be very helpful.
Yeah. So, yes. Balance is hugely important in Tai Chi. It's, for a variety of reasons. It's essential to living. And again, I'd make the argument, we're all, most of us, in offices, spending a lot of time there, in chairs. We slowly lose our capacity to use our bodies well, And Tai Chi, and that's not only Tai Chi, there are other modalities that can help do this. Or, you can go to physical therapists and others who are really, thoughtful and well-educated to do the things that we can do. And the professionals I've talked to in medicine and elsewhere over the years will all say we can do more than we do. Although I think a huge problem is, I have it myself, you read something, you get some insight and information from it, but the challenge is, can we do the practice? Can we do whatever it takes? And where you do the practice is at the level you're at. And then you do a little bit and you'll get a little confidence, and then you'll do a little more, and then a little more. So I think that's the path. And another thing, a way to do it is, what is it in your life that you love that inspires you? If it's your cat, dog, watch them walk, watch them do things, get out in nature. Spring's coming, and in this area, it's extraordinary. My acupuncturist, who was my Tai Chi student once, would say, "Oh, Len, I had a pretty stressful job. I had 5 stressful jobs," but she'd say, "What you have to do, you have a very nice backyard. Sit in your backyard, listen to the birds, look at the pond." And I kind of rolled my eyes, I have to admit, a couple of times, but she was right. Too much stress. It shuts the body down. So the paths that we want the energy to move in get shut down. If you're in a bad posture, riding like this, when I went to my Tai Chi teacher to the first camp, I'm going to write a check, and he didn't know me that well. He said, are you a lawyer? He said, yeah. He said, well, most lawyers have uptight shoulders like that. Where are the 4 places we have shoulders? Tension, head, right? Gut, back. It's just how we're living. But it's all how we're living, things we could just slowly change. Slowly change. Spring, get out there. It's wonderful.
What a beautiful note to end on. Thank you so much, Len. It was great. Thank you all.
Thank you.